obviously leave no mentions of the Steve Warden.
That's on. Everton 0, Fulham 1. The Premier League season has started quite depressingly. We're all sat outside the Denby. I think we've had a lot of mixed opinions before we started talking about this, which has surprised me because there's a few different players that people have spoken about that have had problems. A couple that have played all right, and I don't think any of us has agreed with each other. Matt Flusk first. What have you made of the game initially? We've seen loads of stats about apparently we've had more shots ever in the Premier League without scoring a goal.
Well, for one, we did score a goal. We scored a perfectly legitimate goal, and it's within Stuart Atwell's brain alone why it wasn't given. I mean, you look at the video, it's one question about the goalie and whether or not he's made that situation himself. But Tarkowski's been thrown into him by Robinson, so I don't know what else he could do there. But it's just the old thing, innit? Take your chances. It's just, I mean, we're going to go on to talk about Mopé, but I don't think they were like clean-cut sitters as such. I think the goalie's made himself very big, played very well with each of those chances. Like, if that was Pickford making them saves, there'd be an open-top bus parade for him. So, but yeah, it's just one of those. And I haven't checked the record, but I'm choosing to believe that if we lose the opening game of the season, we're going to have a big one.
That's an interesting theory, that isn't it? Given how poor the team looked, in my opinion, anyway. First of all, positives from you, Keith.
So, across the course of this pod, I'm going to be rational, and then I'm going to be irrationally angry, and then I'll come back to rational at the end. I'm going to start off and say, first half, I thought we looked good. I'm going to say this, we looked solid but stolid. So we didn't really concede any goal-scoring opportunities in that first half. I think they had one shot from about 40 yards that nearly landed in entry. Other than that, they never looked like threatening the goal whatsoever. I just think we were very one-paced in attack. Even when we countered, there was one exception when Iwobi countered quite quickly. Other than that, I think we were very slow going forward, very ponderous. I don't think we were too creative, shall we say. Like, the chances came from Fulham mistakes more than anything else. But I thought we were all right. They looked like a well-coached, well-drilled team in that first half. And if you put someone in that team there that can finish those 3/4 chances that we had that really should have been scored, the game's out of sight. I mean, arguably, I know the thinking behind not playing Calvert-Lewin and trying to make sure he's 100% to come in. He could have played 45 minutes today. He would have scored at least one of them chances first half. Possibly two. If we go in 2-0 up at half time, you take him off then. Take him off, stick Mopé up to run around, do his thing where he's a nuisance without actually producing anything whatsoever. And yeah, great, we run that out comfortably. But yeah, we went in 0-0 half time and then come out second half and it was a different story. There was just, I don't think we created anything of note second half apart from the Patterson chance and obviously Danjuma, but he was about 20 yards offside.
Seems to count when you're watching Newcastle, by the way, what we've just seen, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't take your chances, you get punished in this league, and it's the way it's always been, and we've paid for that today against a team that's had one shot on target all game and go away with the 3 points. So there are positives to take. They look like a well-drilled side. They looked solid defensively first half. There was a good shape to them. I just think we could have done more with it. They weren't great today, let's be honest. They were pretty poor. They'll be delighted to get back down the road with 3 points today.
I agree with most of what you said there. I think it felt like a typical start of season game as well, even a pre-season game if I was looking at that and not knowing. Both slow, sluggish. They got a decent chance on that right-hand side. We spoke about it quite often then, didn't we, about 3 players. What players was you said you first said there, Keith, about in what order they didn't get to get the ball across to Cordova-Reid?
Also for the goal, right, so the goal stems from 75% of our defence there. First off's Ashley Young, who's caught massively out of position because he dives in, he overcommits and gets spun about 40 yards from goal. Then you've got Tarkowski, who's rushed way out of position to try and intercept the second pass, missed it, and then he's got to chase back. Then you've got a 2-on-1 with Michael Keane, who didn't know whether it was breakfast time or Easter and decided to just stand there rather than committing to a tackle. The ball gets slipped into whoever it was that set it up on the right wing. At that stage, they have two forwards behind our entire back line. Nathan Patterson has to commit to go across to try and put a tackle in. As he does, he's obviously committed to that. The boy cuts it back behind him. He's hopelessly out of position. It's not Patterson's fault for the goal. I'd put it on the other three. What I will say on Nathan Patterson is that was a 3 out of 10 performance today, and that's being generous. He was poor defensively. He was weak in the 50-50s, and going forward, he looked like he had no confidence whatsoever. Like, he didn't want to go on and hit across himself. He always came back to and laid the ball back to James Garner. Like, he wouldn't put a ball in himself. And obviously the chance he had from 6 yards out with an open net, and he tries to like put his laces through it and crashes it off the crossbar, but he could have just passed it in. So it's a learning curve. He's a young defender, but yeah, he was absolutely rancid today, and long live Seamus Coleman as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually nice to see him next to Delhi, actually sitting in. You wouldn't have seen that, would you? On probably going back in a return order here, but the way in which the team that was selected, are you happy with it, content with it? Would you like to see someone else play?
I would have liked to see Brand play, but I don't think it would have made a massive difference to the results. I mean, we talked about Calvert-Lewin, maybe he could have been at least in the squad involved or what, but I understand he's about to have a baby as well, so that might factor into the thinking to give him the day off. But
he's not having the baby.
I know, but
like, his job was done 9 months ago. He could have played some part today.
Yeah, he could have, but you know.
You said 45 minutes. I mean, his missus probably haven't had that baby between 45 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, like Connor said downstairs just now, put him on in like the form of cricket where you have the power play and you go big at the start. You go hard. You look for the big points to kill the game off early. Play 45 minutes. If he scores 2 goals in that first half, the chances Mopé had, which I would say the likelihood is he scores at least one of them, puts us on the front foot then. It's a completely different game. You then bring him off at half-time and say, right, okay, we'll rethink the solution for Villa next week. But, I mean, obviously Dyche is in charge and he's gone with solid, dependable Premier League experience, which, as we know, gets you nowhere, really. Matt's been accosted.
Matt's talking to one of his fans there.
Kicked the ball dead hard of a goal, so
we can't do that, don't we?
No. Well, Patterson kicked it too hard. That was the problem, wasn't it?
Dan Juma.
Yeah.
I thought he would have started, to be honest, not just because of Mopé, and look, there's a deep discussion to have about him, which isn't any different than what we've spoken about him in the past, but like Keith says there, he came on, shot about 20 yards wide when he was right on goal, and should he be starting games initially at start of the season? At least, at the very least, if he's not ready, he gives fans a bit of a boost, doesn't he, because he's got a new side.
Yeah, there's a big roar like when he came on, but we don't know how fit he is. Obviously, there was talk of him having the knock and stuff like that. But I mean, when it comes to Mopé, I've been saying all the way back there, if Calvert-Lewin had the game he had today, we would have been saying he did everything right but score. Yeah. That was it. So, like, he should have scored. Like, that's, my brother said that's the most energetic he's seen him since we signed him. Like, he did look like a different player, but I'm starting to feel sorry for him, to be honest. He does need that big breakthrough, and when it comes, and it will come, I think, like, the roof will come off, and everyone is still behind him. There weren't any grumbles when his name was read out, but I think the team itself just kind of picked itself, didn't it? We're kind of short of options, and who would have thought this time last season we'd be begging to see Dwight McNeil come back? But he's somehow become, well, no, not somehow, through his own hard graft, he's become an essential, undroppable player. So, yeah, really want him back soon.
What's going on? Oh, we've seen him sit down. Bring him over if you want him to come on.
We've got a special guest appearance on the pod. Or we might not, he's gone shy now.
Typical to the first 11, he's gone missing. I don't think he's coming back on. Anyway.
We'll see if he comes across.
Yeah, come on and say hello. Yeah, there he comes now. Hang on. What's your name, mate? What did you think of the game today?
We should have won 3-0 up.
We should have won 3-0. Who was your favourite player today? I think you said the same thing we all did. Who's your favourite player today? We don't all have one, do we?
Who is your favourite player though?
I don't know.
Again, like most of us there, mate.
None of us like this lot much, to be honest.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not for you. We have to stand here every week talking about them, so you've definitely a better Everton in us.
It's a bright future ahead, isn't it, mate? Imagine a new ground.
All I'll say is, as bad as you think it is now, it gets worse.
Yep.
I think we've just destroyed the future of a young lad there, saying all that.
Enjoy your future.
Okay.
Brilliant, mate. You're on the podcast anyway.
On the podcast?
Yeah.
What's the podcast called so you can listen to yourself?
The Blue Room, it's called.
Blue Room. So go to Alpha and say, it's on YouTube or something?
Yeah, YouTube.
You can't go onto
All
YouTube
that.
and say the Blue Room and you can hear yourself on the internet. Blue Room. See, that's told you.
It's far too positive.
That's made people's days.
He's far too positive and energetic for us, to be fair. Like,
Ask for the pussy.
Can we bully Matt Muzzy later?
It's just Matt. All I'll say is Matt is rocking an absolute
It's
sensational.
going to be a 70s level tash later. Like,
Think Goose in Top Gun moustache,
oh my word.
or Goose's kid in the new one.
No, Tom Selleck's the Muzzy, isn't it? Tom Selleck.
Yeah, but Goose has a muzzy as well.
No, he's
No.
not. I'm saying about
No, it's not Tom Selleck in muzzy. No, it's not.
This is great football.
I was going to say, mate.
Probably gone right
Well,
off.
just over 12 minutes in, we stopped talking about Everton.
Should we chat about Top Gun for a bit? Or should we go on at Stuart Atwell and how he should be like hung by his toenails until the rest of him drops off?
Yeah.
Because that goal that we scored today is despicable. How he's deemed that a foul quickly enough that he can blow his whistle before Michael Keane shot less than a second later.
Yeah.
What has he?
No VAR check.
What has he seen in that that's a foul? Where is the foul? Tarkowski doesn't even look at the ball. He makes no attempt on the ball. He is standing where he is. It's like, you know, the video clip of the fan with Leighton Baines when he makes that foul against Leicester years ago.
Yeah.
And it's what's he supposed to do? Disappear? No bed. It's that. What's he meant to do? Like, he can't stop being in that physical space. He hasn't made an attempt on the ball. He hasn't made an attempt on the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's
He's
come
been
out.
thrown into him.
The goalkeeper's come out for a ball that he cannot claim because there's a body in the way. Dropped it as a result. Max, we're just seeing a replay of it here,
there you go.
and it is. We've seen it. It's absolutely despicable. There's no foul there. If anything,
You're exactly right, saying.
If
Is he
anything,
meant to fucking move out the way?
if anything, the keeper's fouled Tarkowski by climbing on his back and putting his arms around him.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers, I get that you have to protect them to a degree in situations like that. You can't have someone jumping into a goalkeeper who's in the air, per se. None of that's happened there. That goalkeeper is overprotected, and the Premier League need to look at the rules on it. Because that's a legitimate goal taken away there.
We've got someone here who's only part-time on a podcast. Matt Jones has finally joined us. I don't think I've ever introduced your name for a very long time.
We've done bits.
I don't want to add too much there.
What? You didn't hear anything? we were just talking.
Patterson was crap. The goal should have stood. We need a striker. Atwell's a cheat.
And we've had a brand new fella who's joined us on a podcast. That little lad down there.
Oh, great.
We talked about Top Gun for a little bit. Matt's got a muzzy.
And Matt's stash as well. Seeing what you did for the Echo, and you were talking about there were certain positives in this. I don't agree typically. Keith has, Matt has, there were patches where things were decent. What are you talking about there when you say that?
And that they made chances, but like, it doesn't mean like. I'd say there were positives, but I think they're outweighed by the void that still exists up there. And it feels like whenever we talk about them at the moment, it's like you can look at the short-term thing and you look at that match in 90 minutes and say, you know, if you take away the context of the last 2 years where Everton haven't signed a capable striker, and look at that match in isolation, you go, they were just unlucky there today. And, you know, we had chances, we hit the woodwork, although so did they, I suppose, which probably we shouldn't forget either. And it was just one of those days, but it's not one of those days when after 2 years you've constantly let the manager and the fans down by not bringing in the players that we need to. Like, listen, I know the market's difficult, and I know we're a bad team in this league now, and it's hard to get lads through the door who are going to come in and score goals for us. But I mean, you look at those chances today, and you're telling me that an adequate, like a Shea Adams doesn't come away with 2 goals there. You know, a lad who is just capable at this level in the Premier League. And listen, I don't want to dig Mope out entirely because Patterson spewed one, didn't he, as well? Danjuma spewed one at the end. There were a few players. Oh my God, the Kure, yeah. That probably is the worst of the lot, I think, for me today. But yeah, I think the positives that we created chance. I think some of our play on the counter attack was really good. Moving forward quickly, slick interchanges, but it's all undermined by the fact that there is not a lad in this squad who can stick the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis. But in fact, the only one we have got can't stay fit. So yeah, just flat. And you want to go into a season, I feel optimistic. And I think we said on Tuesday when we did our predictions podcast, like, this would be the peak point of optimism because it's nearly here. Everyone's forgetting about some of the stuff last year. There's talk about new signings, but they haven't actually kicked the football yet. And like when you watch them kick football, and you see a lot of the same things that you saw last season when we were battling relegation. You just think, oh God, here we go again. But yeah, just feel a bit flat.
I said something similar to that at the start. If you didn't know when the day of this game, when it was, it feels like you could just stamp that onto last season.
That could have been March last season, easily. And to be honest, I think Mope missed the exact same chance against Fulham in March last season.
Yeah.
So, this is where we're at. What's there you go, 4 months ago. What's Lukaku up to these days? Chelsea don't want him.
Yeah.
According to
none of Italy want him either.
No, there's fans invading the pitch because they don't want him.
Bring him home.
Bring him back. Send him to Pure Gym for 2 weeks and stick him on a treadmill and stick him in the team. Obviously, it's not going to happen because apparently Everton are the only team who have to comply with financial fair play, and everyone else is just allowed to do whatever they like. Yep. So, there's strikers out there, like Matt said there, like Matt's mentioned Shea Adams. He's not an exciting striker. He's not going to get fans off their seats week in, week out. He's not going to, nobody's going to be shouting from the rooftops, Everton are back, if we brought in Shea Adams. Shea Adams will score you 8 to 10 goals a season. Right?
Well, when we last had a player that actually does double figures.
Who was our top scorer last season?
Dwight McNeil.
Dwight McNeil. He scored about 4.
Yeah, I think it was like 7 in the league.
7 total.
Half of them were against Brighton.
I was going to say, yeah.
You bring in a striker, right? Everyone's obsessed with 20 goal a season strikers, big multi-million pound signings, etc. Just bring in a competent footballer who will score once every 3 games across the course of a season. Is enough to keep a football team in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
And it's the difference between staying up and going down, and it could be for Everton. Obviously, you have to weigh out the fact. Like, I've seen people bandying about, Southampton will want 20 million for him. Nobody's paying 20 million for Shea Adams. Not even Shea Adams' mum would pay 20 million for Shea Adams. Of course he did. Well,
yeah, of course. That's the thing.
I saw Coventry won 3-0 today. Did Ellis Sims score?
I don't think he did. I don't think he's found his level yet.
That'll be the next one. We shouldn't have sold him. Tom Cannon going out on loan to Preston, even though any time they've had a chance in the first team, apart from Sims' goal against Chelsea, which was very nice. he looked way out of his depth.
He was
Let's
a
be
scruffy goal,
honest.
right? Let's be honest.
Let's be honest, he looked way out of his depth anytime he came on as a sub. He started at United and looked like he'd never seen a football pitch in his life.
And their place as well at the shite.
Yeah. So, I mean, you weigh them up and you think, but people will moan about that because we are a reactionary fan base. God, around me today in the lower Bullens, I had somebody shout, "Why don't you throw a fucking tackle in?" Right? When that big yard dog that they had at the back had the ball by his own corner flag. What's he going to do from there? He's 100 yards from goal. Just be patient. Everton fans love moaning for the sake of moaning. And yes, we do have things to complain about. But I think we need to be level-headed about today and say it was an all-right performance that could have been better, but we've seen a lot worse. And
We played worse than one.
if we play like that 38 games this season and add a component who can actually score goals, we'll be comfortably mid-table by March, April.
Just like a couple of things before I need to go and get a drink because I'm absolutely gasping. First of all, like, Mopé is going to get a lot of stick, you know, over the next few days.
I'd like to beat him with a stick.
But it's not.
That's a really good point, though. It's so easy to say, oh, but he had some chances. Oh, it's gonna click for him at one point. They're just cliches,
that's
aren't
not
they?
what I'm saying. Like, I just think he is the. if you could build a Sean Dyche striker, a perfect Sean Dyche striker, he would have none of the attributes. Like, literally, like he's probably the worst suited striker in the Premier League for the style of football that Sean Dyche wants to play.
Give
like,
us a grok.
Yeah, exactly.
We want a yard dog.
Haven't we just signed one for Portugal?
Yeah, but like it's.
Yeah, but he's like 5 stone.
So like
5 years old.
If he went somewhere else, and like I'm sure he'd be like not great, but like adequate. Like he could be a Shea Adams for us in a different team, if that makes sense. Like like he's just so ill suited to the way we're trying to play. Admittedly, with chances today, he's got to score them. But the other bits and pieces, he's so ill suited. He's like the total opposite of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, isn't he, as a footballer? And the other thing I'd say is, like, I get what Keith's saying about if we play like that, we'll be fine this season. I sort of do look at it and think we've probably got a small window of about 10 home games. If I look at 10 games, it's like I wouldn't put us at favourites going into any away game in the Premier League, because I don't think we can realistically say we can be, given our record. I mean, we've got about 10 home games you look at and say realistically we've got a really good chance of winning that, and that was one today against a team that didn't have the best striker playing and didn't have the best midfielder playing. Best two midfielders, I think, they brought Pereira off the bench, and Pelini's dislocated the shoulder, isn't he, and out. So they were below par today in terms of performance and in terms of personnel, and we lost a home to them, and that's you know, it's a long way to go, but it feels like not a really good chance. Quite similar, not quite obviously with the drastic impending potential relegation as last season when we played them, but you look at it and go, that was a game we really should have got something from, and we let it slip.
Matt's mentioned Mitrovic there, Fulham's best striker. Can we have a little chat? I know Matt Flusk wants to have a talk about the fact that he was subbed off and then decided he was coming back on, so he did.
He left the field of play.
Over to you, Matt.
No, did that actually count left the field of play to get
The ball
treatment? Is
came
that
up.
not what it's
No,
classed
the ball
as?
came up.
Right.
And he left the field of play, walked around in front of the Gladys, and then by the time he got to the actual dugout, he was signaling to him, go, no, I'm fine, I'm coming back on. But they'd
So
raised
they
the
made
board.
the sub.
They'd raised the board, and he had left the field of play. The other lad hadn't come on yet, but he had left the field. You can't just say, oh no, I'm actually fine. Yeah. And obviously Atwell just completely ignored it because he's one of the worst referees that this country's ever seen, famously demoted for like half a decade.
Get him on Too Good, Too Bad.
Honestly, I look forward to that fake Londoner fella saying on Monday that everything that happened in the match was completely correct, because you just know they're just going to close ranks again. They're just going to, Howard Webb's going to say something on Monday Night Football in about 6 months, and people go, oh well, look how transparent they are. I mean, not even the big decisions, like Willian today. For the first 20 minutes, they were getting little niggly kicks and everything like that, completely looked over. And it was just building and building and building. And then Willian does that, and arguably could have been shown red for it, because they knew they were getting away with it, and they were just escalating and escalating. And that's how players get injured. That's how Andre Gomez got injured against Tottenham. in the 15 minutes in the run up to that happening, they were getting absolutely everything ignored by the referee, and then obviously Son chases after him, hacks him down, breaks his ankle,
and they're still not to alter that right now. Is it, what did it be,
the
4 years down the line?
Like, I'm not a professional referee, I'm just somebody who goes to the match, but I see it week in, week out. You can tell when a team knows that they're getting away with stuff and they just start dialing up the needle bit by bit, and then bam, there's a really horrible challenge. And you just know it's coming. Yeah,
with referees then there's no context to it whatsoever, is there? When you've persistently seen that, you don't give somebody yellow. Keith, you just showed us something about Mike Dean, just said something, doesn't he?
This is Mike Dean, head of VAR for the Premier League.
Not anymore.
I thought he'd just...
No, he's working for Sky now.
Ah, fair enough. Okay. So Mike Dean's comments. James Tarkowski has gone up, and I'm not sure what Tarkowski does wrong there. I think he holds his position, he jumps and Leno goes over the top of him. That's wrong because he didn't even jump. But Leno just loses the ball on the way down and Fulham have got lucky there. In my opinion, I do not think that's a foul on the Fulham goalkeeper. Yeah. So why is Atwell blowing for a foul so quickly that he's done it before Michael Keane's put the ball in the net, less than a second later? Why? What has he seen there that's a foul?
But also, why... It's VAR, because you see all these posters around the ground. VAR is there for when the on-field referee does a clear and obvious error. So why has VAR then not intervened and gone, you've blown up too early, Everton deserve...
What would we have got though? I was going to say, if he did change it, what would we get anyway?
It is
a clear and obvious error by the on-field referee. But now there's a loophole, so it's not within the scope. Well, then what's the point?
I get the thinking behind that, because he says as soon as the referee's blown the whistle, play is stopped, which is like how football works. But the thinking behind that is because he stopped play, Fulham players then stop trying to stop the goal, whereas they wouldn't have done anything anyway because there was none of them within 10 yards of Michael Keane or the goal line to stop the goal. So why can't you then go back and look at that and say, right, that's not a foul, play hasn't stopped because it's not a foul, play on, it's a goal.
Well, they're inconsistent though, aren't they? Because a few seasons ago Ian Atcher scored that goal against us, and I think it was actually the first season of VAR, wasn't it? And the linesman's flagged for offside, so obviously all our players have seen the flag and gone, he's offside. He just ran through, rounded the goalie and tapped it in, and the VAR's gone, oh no, he was actually onside there. Yeah. So why is that able to be overturned, but the referee blowing his whistle? And you could argue yourself saying, oh, but you know, maybe he might have missed the goal and no one else today he might have, but it was an open net, it was a tap-in. Like, there was no reason at all for him to take that decision out of the VAR's hands and say, no, it's a foul on field, that's it.
Speaking of linesman's flagging, that one in the first half was horny for his flag, was he not? Every single time he was lashing his flag up. He loved it. He was just throwing his flag up for any... Like, there was one on a Iwobi where there were at least 3 defenders goal side of a Iwobi. That flag was up. And as soon as the flag goes up, the referees stop and play, which is completely against the league's directives.
Yeah, what happened to the late
The
flags?
directives are, leave your flag down if it's a borderline decision, and VAR will decide. But he was putting his flag up on really close ones. There was one where he stopped, he didn't put his flag up, he stood still, braced his legs and leaned to the side.
I wish I had a picture for this, by the way.
As if to look and see that he could see this picture again that had happened 2 seconds earlier, and then put his flag up. And I just think that's completely...
Burned into his retinas.
That's completely against...
He's got a tattoo of the flag.
Right, doesn't matter. End of the day, Everton could have won that game by themselves and didn't. But there is a grievance with the VAR process, the delayed flag, the late flag, Stuart Atwell being given gainful employment in football. You know, it's one of them. We're not going to go on about it.
The tackle was bad as well. Yeah. That could have been a red.
I haven't seen that back, but at first glance, in the ground, it looked like he got him halfway up his shin.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
But there was one more refereeing decision. It's not a decision, but the way in which games are meant to change this season. is the amount of time that's added on. There's only 6 minutes of Goodison today. We've spoken about Mitrovic.
The first half.
Here we go.
The first half. This new
1 minute
FA
added on
directive,
first half.
This new FA directive, every single game you're seeing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes.
The Newcastle game just now had 10
Newcastle game had to be fair.
Maggie.
To be fair, Tyrone Mings' leg has been like made into cornflakes, so I can see why they had a big delay. But 1 minute.
Yep.
1 minute. The referee probably spent at least 1 minute gesturing hand signals, telling them to hurry up playing himself. So when you consider that, you consider Garner was on the floor for about 5 minutes himself after the Willian foul. All the time wasting that their two fullbacks were doing over throw-ins. But that Kenny Tete took about a fortnight to take a throw-in every single time, and I think he got booked in the end, didn't he?
Yeah,
One
he
of
did,
them got booked for time wasting. But how are you adding 1 minute on? And again, that was when Everton were very much in the ascendancy. They were the better side. They were on top. They were going forward. It's just, you've got to have some level of consistency. I bet there's not a single other game in the Football League this weekend that had 1 minute added time to either half.
Just listening to other people here, you've got a crowd today. Just one more thing to finish here. That kind of start.
He gave us Dixie, Lawson and Alex Young. He gave us every
Just one thing to finish
It
here.
would be a live broadcast.
Why am I the bouncer all of a sudden?
I know.
I mean, you
Things
are
have all gone off here outside the Denby. Maybe it's more entertainment or whatever produced today. Villa next week, massive away game, really already, isn't it? You feel that? I mean, I'm feeling it already. To go and get a result, you mentioned it before, one of the games that's essential to get points from this season. I'd probably count Fulham up that list.
I think a draw's fine, isn't it? I mean, they were getting beat 2-1 last saw. Mings' injury is obviously big for them, but they are really good, aren't they? Like, it feels quite similar. It's the exact same situation as last year, isn't it? Lose our opening game. We got Villa away in our first away game. Obviously, they had Gerrard then, and should have got something from that game, but it's totally different. Ash.
Beat Villa, we go top.
Beat Villa,
Is that what we're saying?
Why do we always play them at the same stage of every season? Well, by the way,
don't go bottom.
Yeah, I mean, we're 17th right now, so could we just stop the season now at this stage, take it and say, right, we'll start again next August?
Oh, no, we're 16th right now.
16th? Heady heights.
Villa getting beat.
Villa are getting smacked 3-1 right now by Newcastle as well. As of the moment of recording.
Newcastle look annoyingly good, to be fair.
Anthony Gordon got an assist.
Anthony Gordon actually looks like a competent footballer, which I'm not down with. I'm not.
got a proper haircut now as well.
Yeah, he's still got the nan tints in though, isn't he?
Yeah. I'll leave it to you, Matthews. Feeling after that. I mean, it's obviously the first game of the season, but people generally get away with it at that point. I think I'm speaking to the wrong person. He is probably one of the most sensible people that I know. But your take on it to finish us up?
Yeah, it is what it is. Like Matt's right in that it's already 3 points dropped at home against a on paper beatable side. I can't remember where Fulham actually finished last season, but they dropped towards the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
When Mitrovic got banned.
Mid-table, wasn't it?
But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Like, I was walking out the ground and I was saying to Laura Gates that we got a few of them stuffy 1-0 wins last season ourselves. We'll get a few more this season. Like, it was just our turn. It's one of them. I'm not massively worried. Like, as has been said, we look better drilled than that. And yeah, it is what it is. Just let's not lose our heads about it.
I think that's a positive way to finish the first post-match podcast of the season. We'll be back to do this after the Aston Villa away game next week with all of our hard hats on. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Up the toffees.